What happens is that there's certain air pollution that is then occurring, that is then damaging, of course, the environment. When we go into the greenhouse effect, we're going to speak in more detail about that. Also, what this does, let's remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we mine a certain area or a certain portion of land. That portion of land, it means that whatever animals, ladies and gentlemen, that use that as a habitat, again, let's remember grade 4 natural science and technology. Habitat is a place where living things live. So it means that when we mine a certain area, say you are from, for typical example, Johannesburg, Braamfontein. So now if there's a mine there or there's gold there, if you live there, it means that you need to be taken out. If there were animals there, it means they're also taken out. If there were trees and anything else that is living, then all of those living things are then removed so that that area can be mined. So what does that mean? It means that mining has got also an impact on affecting the habitat of living things and also the soil fertility. What do we mean by soil fertility? When you want to plant a tree, you cannot be able to plant a tree where there was a mine, because then it means when we dig all the way. Remember, we've got the topsoil, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the loamy soil, we've got all these different types of soils that are therefore affected. So when we are mining, we're mining literally at the depth of the soil. So it means that any form or any chance of being able to plant anything then therefore dies up, ladies and gentlemen. So those are the impacts of mining. The first one, water pollution. Related to pollution would be air pollution as well, of course. The dust that is obviously, as people are digging, what does that do? It harms the human beings that are digging, causing respiratory problems. Maybe you might get asthma or any other one. And also, what does that happen? It also affects soil fertility, meaning that now it becomes very difficult for you to plant anything.
15 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 15 minutes. Again, let me apologize. Let's move on to the environmental impact of plastics. Earlier on, we spoke about the plastic chairs that we use at school. And I asked you guys, I said, when we are talking about that in relation to how it behaves as a material, we'll then also speak about it. Now, let's remember, I said to you, by the end of this lesson, we should be understanding what a polymer is. So again, I want us to just explore the definition of that. So ladies and gentlemen, what is a polymer? When we speak about a polymer, what is it that we are speaking about? Now, a polymer is a giant molecule that is made of simpler molecules of the same kind. So that's what a polymer is. And that is a group of materials. So what does that create? What does that make? It makes plastics. So basically, that's what a polymer is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of the plastics that we have are unfortunately not biodegradable. I usually say in any science, be it natural science and technology, natural sciences, or if you go on and you study physical sciences or life sciences, which was formerly known as biology, if there is a big word, when you break that word into two, it becomes easier for you to understand. So the word bio, ladies and gentlemen, it means life. Degradable or degrade, it means that something is losing its value or something is dying out, right? So now biodegradable, ladies and gentlemen, is when certain materials are disintegrating, or rather they are breaking down into organic matter. Organic means natural, and obviously natural is very much associated to life. So biodegradable, ladies and gentlemen, is the breaking down of any material into organic matter so that it can be able to fertilize. Usually this happens in soil. So now if a dog dies, ladies and gentlemen, and we bury the dog, God forbid, now when that dog is buried, it biodegrades. What does it mean? It means that it releases certain nutrients that then fertilize the soil. And then if you go, of course, we are not going to do this, but if you go and dig up that dog and try to find, you'll find that you don't find anything. The skin, the fur, everything, the eyes and all the parts of that dog are no longer there. And maybe the only thing that is remaining would be what? Would be the bones, because the bones are not biodegradable. But each and every part of that dog you would not be able to find. So this is the reality with a lot of plastics. By plastics, I mean the ones that we use for lunch boxes, those type of plastics, they're not biodegradable. However, you'll find that the certain type of plastics that are used mostly for your shopping, etc. Those ones are written that they are actually biodegradable. Even this type of a plastic that I'm having in my hand is actually a very good example of biodegradable. If you check around the wedding, you find that they say it's biodegradable. What does it mean? It means that if you throw it somewhere, it will then disintegrate, or it will then biodegrade and disappear. So it will not harm what? It will not harm the soil. However, as nice as plastics are in our daily lives, they also cause pollution. What type of pollutions am I talking about? I'm talking about air. I'm talking about water pollution. I'm talking about land pollution. You remember I said pollution is the contamination of something. It means that plastics contaminate, or rather make the air dirty. They contaminate the water. They also contaminate the land if they are not biodegradable. Unfortunately, the saddest reality, ladies and gentlemen, in the water, particularly for ocean animals, so that is the sea, where a lot of plastics are unfortunately ending up. They destroy and they kill all the different types of beautiful creatures that are found there in the sea. When we go on to the slide, you'll see a very good example of that. Moving into the last part of environmental effects or impact of raw materials. Remember, we said raw means natural, and we use raw materials to make other materials. So crude oil is a raw material. And then crude oil then gives us different types of fuels, such as the petrol that runs in mom's or dad's car, or maybe the diesel that is found in trucks or other modern cars. So crude oil is what is a raw material that is used to make another material. Remember, it's used to make that material to assist us in our daily runnings, because if there is no car, we can't move from A to B. So it is important, but in its importance, it's also damaging the environment. So crude oil gives us petrol, it gives us fuel, it gives us different types of fuels. Now, that is a source of energy. What does that mean? It means that it powers something, it enables something to happen. However, ladies and gentlemen, again, it has also got some impact or other effects that negatively affect our environment. They cause pollutions. I've explained what those are. And most importantly, unfortunately, they affect natural habitats. Remember I said a habitat is an area where living things are found. So when we are using a lot of fuel, then definitely natural habitats are affected. Remember, we are speaking about the impact of all these raw materials in terms of our environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just put some illustrations or pictures there that I want to show you. I've numbered them 1 to 4. The first picture there, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. So that area there, you will see that it's close to a residential area on the left. Let me try to move the cursor. So on the left there, where I'm actually moving the cursor and trying to circle, there is a residential area. Now this piece of land was used for mining. So now can you see that no plant grows here? A plant grows on the other side where mining did not occur. So it means that this piece of land becomes somewhat redundant and unuseful. Now, as we are mining for stuff on picture number 2, ladies and gentlemen, can you see? So when the oil has been burnt because it was running the mining machines, there's a certain oil that's not used. Remember when dad services a car, or when mom takes a car to a servicing station, there is oil that comes out that is dirty and it's no longer useful. But where does that oil go? Unfortunately, a huge portion of that oil goes into our seas. And who drinks that? It's obviously the fishes, it's obviously the dolphins, and all the other aquatic animals. Picture number 3, I spoke about plastics. Very graphic picture, let me apologize. But when we throw plastics in the oceans, this is definitely what happens. So can you see this beautiful creature that's then suffocating and dying? Picture number 4. I found this very interesting, but also very sad, because this is the reality of what is happening in our daily lives. The same factories, the same manufacturing organizations or stations that are there, they release toxic gases, which then harm and affect our lungs. And this is literally what happens. The next picture explains this in more detail. So what is this global warming that I spoke about or alluded to earlier? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens. CO2 is carbon dioxide. We are going to move into the elements of the periodic table, I suppose, next week. When we speak about that, we'll then understand the abbreviations. But C, it's carbon dioxide, hence the 2. The di means 2. We'll get into that, like I said, when we move into the next portion of our annual. So this is how it happens, ladies and gentlemen. We've got carbon dioxide. Where does it come from? It comes from picture number 4. All of those factories. Where does it go? It goes onto the atmosphere. This area where I'm doing this, ladies and gentlemen, is the atmosphere. Now, when it's at the atmosphere, because of how we have then affected the environment, it affects what we call the ozone layer. As I've alluded earlier, when you go on to doing life sciences, which was called biology, you learn about that. So then there's a trap of all of those heat that comes from the sun in the atmosphere. And as a result, ladies and gentlemen, we can see our earth has become very hot. The temperatures are, it has never reached the levels that they are at this moment. And every time we speak about that, and that's because of the impact of number 4, as well as number 3, of course, and any other things that we do. Going into the activity that I want us to do tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to use everything that we have learned today about the impact on the environment to create a poster that will then raise some form of awareness about caring for our environment. So you use all the knowledge you've learned about the impact that is caused by fossil fuels, the impact that is caused by plastics, the impact that is caused, ladies and gentlemen, by mining, to create a poster that will then raise some form of awareness so that we can be able to share that and conscientize people about the dangers that we are facing. It would be very nice if we create those posters, of course, using our crayons or coloring pens and any form of paper. Is it A4? Is it A3? Any form of paper that you want to use. If you can use a computer as well, that would actually be awesome. And also maybe just take a picture or a screenshot and then send it to us so that we can be able to see. We are found on social media, of course, at African Teen Geeks. So it would be nice for us to actually share some of your pictures there. Remember, the hashtag is #LockdownIsSchool. Prior to my lesson being ended, I just want to go through some of the chats that I see that are there and respond to some of the questions if there are any. Yes, definitely, Madimeta, global warming. Global warming, as it says, the globe is the world, the warming is the heating of the world. Why? Because of the heat that is trapped in the atmosphere, because that heat is unable to penetrate into the sky because of the global warming, of the effects that we do. Where do we find the pictures? Very good question. Let me go and move on to the next slide. So the question of where do we find the pictures? Right there. There are certain links, ladies and gentlemen. Please let us look at that. If you can, please take a picture of this so that you can be able to literally Google by yourself. On National Geographic, they speak about the impact of the environment. There's also a very nice YouTube video that speaks about that. And also link number 3. So take a picture there and have a look. Where can we find the picture on YouTube? Diego, thank you for asking. Diego, you go on your YouTube and then you simply type in environmental impact of raw materials. You'll find it. How does global warming affect the sea? That question is very interesting. Remember, the sea is made up of water. So what does that mean? It means that the more hot the earth is because of the sun rays, it means that there's water vapor in the sea. And because of that, it means the water that is at the sea level of the sea begins to do what? To decrease. As it decreased, there are certain amount of creatures that are found in the sea that then die out. Okay. So that's how it happens. Okay, I'm just trying to browse through some of the questions. Yes, we have to memorize the periodic table. However, that's going to be discussed in the next lesson that's coming after next week. Remember, we are following what we call the annual teaching plan. So we are not there yet. But for grade 7, 8, and 9, we memorize only the first 20 elements of the periodic table. So we'll then speak about that next week, not to worry. Thank you so much. That is a very, very good question. Say, can pollution cause animals to no longer extra? I'm assuming that the question is, say, can pollution cause the sad death of animals? Definitely, it can happen. Remember, animals are just like us. So they breathe the air that we breathe. So now I think your question is very good, Babala, because it's speaking about what we call extinction. Extinction is a wiping out of a certain group of animals. For an example, dinosaurs are no longer found there. There's a reason for that. Because as we started building buildings and factories and towns, we took away the dinosaur habitats. And as a result, then they therefore died out. So very good. How littering affects us in any way? It definitely does. Like we've said, when we litter, for example, you throw plastics in the sea, the same fish that we eat, the hake and everything. So if that is therefore, for an example, suffocated, then it means there's a definitely decrease and it affects what we eat. So definitely it happens. Very good question.
Sorry to interrupt. 5 minutes to end of session.
All right. All right. Thank you, Khadi. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end the lesson, I just want us to go to another important aspect. So let's remember this activity. So create a poster. In your poster, simply raise awareness in terms of how we can actually start caring for our environment. Like I've asked, use your crayons, use anything, go crazy, just enjoy it and let it be a very, very nice exercise. And then of course, take a picture and then post it to us on social media at #LockdownIsSchool on Facebook, anywhere else, so that we can actually share this in tomorrow's lesson. So now what are our takeaway points from today? Is that number one, raw materials are natural and they are used to make other materials. Trees or wood that give us paper. What is biodegradable? What does it mean to biodegrade? Is when something is broken down into organic matter. I made an example, a very sad example, that when a dog dies and we bury that dog, it integrates, it biodegrades, and then it starts to fertilize what? It fertilizes the soil, right? And last point, the making of other raw materials leads to impacts or other effects such as pollution. So as much as it's important for us to use wood for our chairs, to use it for paper, crude oil to make mom's car, dad's car to run, plastics so that we can carry our lunches. However, when we use this and we use it not too wise, it therefore, what's the word? It damages our environment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much. I see Malose, littering affects animals. Absolutely, definitely, it does. There's a picture there. If you can see the Malose, picture number 3. Picture number 3, there's an animal that's being suffocated there. Very sad. Yes, Dalen. Like I said, there are certain plastic types that are biodegradable. That means that they do not last forever. If you check a plastic bag, maybe from your ShopRite or from Woolies, where maybe you're buying groceries, it is biodegradable. What does it mean? It means that it changes into organic matter. So it's a good. There are hard plastics that you can imply that they last forever. And those ones are the ones that are definitely problematic. Ladies and gentlemen, for tomorrow's lesson, we are going to understand mixtures. We are going into mixtures as well as solutions. Prior to this, we're going to speak about solutes. We're going to speak about solvents. We're going to explain what mixtures are and what solutions are, so that when we go on, understand. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much. And once more, I want to apologize for the network interruption that has somewhat affected our lesson. I thank you so much for your patience. Remember to hashtag us at _LockdownIsSchool at African Teen Weeks. That's where we'll also send our awareness pictures to share with other people at Izora and at DVE_SA, at hashtag Sasol Foundation, Sasol SA, and of course, STEM Champions. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Alex. You have caught up with your lesson. It was a great lesson. See you back tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Khiri. I apologize for the network problems.
No problem, it happens.
All right, thank you.
I've recorded the second part of this lecture. I'm going to upload it onto YouTube just now.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too.